Os momentos de amor, alegria e doideira. Ai, que penso saudade. Oh, my difficult exercise, and let's see where we get in time. I did the increase of financially men ready to pack in time. Just plenty for my table time. No don't get to the contract. Nobody for me behind the line. I did it for I did that to my people. Them bloody no people. Everybody want follow. I did that to my people. Them bloody no people. Everybody wants to my baby ladies, I don't want to your go this time. I still see your Gemini. All of us find the way that we are. My grace not from Jehovah. Why we live all like a Gaova? Everything nice when you dem my corner. Anything for that for long. 39, I'm so high. I can feel my body. Pero una fiesta de tengo que no cabe pared. Diamonds shining in the dark. Una bandera en la oscuridad. Siempre entrega la maldad. Demasiada seguridad. Botella de fondo. 1942 comando. En la disco bailando. Dale baby, tómalo. Una comando. Una comando. Una comando. In the club, look at that all other legends by my side. I've got a shot and take to do whatever I touch on you. There's one chance to look at him. And the only man makes so sad. Tell them what I'm saying. When I say I wanna say
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much again for joining. We're going to start right now because we don't want to keep you waiting. The other people who aren't here yet, they will have to join later. I'd like to start first by asking someone from here to maybe say a short word of prayer. I know that we have both Christians and Muslims in this community, so I like for a Christian to say a short word of prayer and then a Muslim to say a short word of prayer, and then we'll introduce our first speaker. So if you are up for it, just signify and the mic is yours. Do we have Christians or Muslims in the house?
I can always go ahead. So,
okay, please.
Just quickly. Father, we say thank you for this time you've brought to us. We worship you for your faithfulness in our lives. We say thank you, Lord, for this day. We ask in your infinite mercy that you start with us, and we pray that you open our heart and also open our understanding that you grant unto us the wisdom also to also apply everything we'll be learning today, and to apply this to our day-to-day lives. And we want to see progress in our lives, oh God. Thank you, Lord, for everything you have done already. For in Jesus' name have we prayed.
Amen. So do we have a Muslim in the house who wants to say a word of prayer?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful, praise be to Allah, Lord of the worlds, the most gracious, the most merciful, Master of the day of judgment. It is you we worship and offer you, we call for help, guide us to the straight path, the path of those you have blessed, not of those against whom there is anger, nor of those who are misguided. بسمك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So without further ado, I want to first of all say thank you to everyone who has joined early. It's really nice to see that people turn up for events early. I also want to kindly apologize for the lateness on our part to start the event as when it was supposed to start. So I would like to go ahead to call our first speaker. Before I call upon the first speaker, I want to just say that we are happy and very honored to have a very, very distinguished guest amongst us. She's going to be talking talking about like CVs. And yeah, basically she's a recruiter who has worked as a recruiter for different companies, and she's going to share her experience with us. Without further ado, I would like to make welcome Damaris Ajayi to take the stage. Thank you so much for joining us, Damaris.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Stella. I think I would just, if we do not mind, we can just switch on our video so we can see those we are talking to. I will switch my own on right now so you can see my face. If you can, that would be very great. So we are not so many here, so we can really have a very active session and a very collaborative one as well. And if you cannot, it's also fine. But I would also want us to, interact and, put down comments, ask questions, anything you are not so clear about, you can always ask at the end, or you can just drop those questions on the chat. Thank you so much, Stella, for the opportunity. So a very quick introduction about myself. Yeah, I'll share screen because I made a slide. So let me know if you can see the tab, you can see the slide. Can you see that?
Yes, we can.
You can see my screen. Okay, so also, can you see it as a full screen?
Yes.
You can see it as a full screen. Okay. Really interesting. So today's, my own part of the session would be to talk about CVs and also to talk about and have some reviews as well. Like Stella said, I work as a recruiter with an American company, Tax Rabbit. And before then, I was recruiting for Nike, I was recruiting for Arup, and I've been in this for quite some time now. And I think something I would just like to mention as well is that I have mostly been recruiting, been in the HR business for the international market. So in terms of companies outside of Nigeria. So I've not really done recruitment in Nigeria. So I would try to, to bring it down to the Nigerian marketplace. But then I would also talk about the global mindset in here. And I know this would really help as well. Because I see a very large number of us, we are from Nigeria. I'm a Nigerian. I came down to Poland in the year 2020, and I've just been here working for other countries. So just going down, today we'll have 5 things to talk about, or 4. The first part was the introduction, and I think I've done a bit of that. And also I will talk about CV, why it's really important, and also structure of CVs. I know this is not really new to us, but then I believe that we can always learn new things that are going on in the market, and also gain different things that you can always, work upon as you go on in your career. And also I have some additional tips that would be useful, not just for you, also for myself as well, because I'm also a recruiter working for companies. I can always want to move from one company to another, but right now I love my company, and I'm really doing great work there, giving so much impact, and also enjoying what I do as a recruiter at TaxRabbit. And then we would have some live reviews. So yeah, this is me. Yeah, just little picture of what I love. I love plants. I love flowers. I love traveling, and also I enjoy nature a lot. So this is one brief part of me. Now into what we're here to do, which is CV basically. Yeah, so I have 3 CVs here, 3 formats of CVs. And I would like to, I'm not going to define CV. We all know that. We all know what this is about. But I would like someone to tell me which of the CV templates they like, and tell me why they like any one of them. Just have someone in the chat, or you can come off mute and just tell me why you would pick any of these formats or this type of CV for yourself. Do we have anyone that would want to? Can you see this the screen clearly?
Yeah, we can. We can.
Yes, you can. Okay. And would you like to tell me what type of CVs they would want to use for themselves? So this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3.
2. I'll take 2.
2, okay. And would you want to tell me why you are interested in 2? Why you don't like this one with colors or pictures? What do you think about that?
Looks formal.
Okay. Okay, so this the second one. Any other person, let's say. Thank you, Chisom. Thank you so much for that.
I'll prefer 1.
1. Okay, and why is that so?
1, because I think is more it holds more information about yourself.
Okay, that's good. So yeah, then 3 also, 3 is quite similar to 1, and I would say every of this template we see it all around, and CV is where we put down information about ourselves. We are trying to showcase our skills, our experience, and what we can do, and who we are as a person to a recruiter. And I also wrote here that CV is not a list of your job. So you're not just listing things down and just putting so much information on a document. Yeah, so going back to this template that I kept here, I would say number 1, it's really, yeah, it gives all the information. You can see the experience, you can even see the profile summary, and also you can see everything. Joshua, you are not muted, and we can hear background. Joshua, would you like to mute yourself? Okay, good. Thank you. As I was saying, three has this information about everything, has information about you, but then looking at the type of CVs and the ways whereby recruiters would approach or would feel about your CV, about what you've written down, and you want them to see about yourself, I would say number two is a well-placed CV whereby it's really basic and it's really plain. Everything has information about you, but then the structure, the feel of the CV really matters a lot. And I said CV is this document whereby you're trying to simply tell a recruiter about who you are before they meet you and to really secure you that first interview. So most of the time, when a recruiter posts a job and there are so thousands of applications coming in, we have less than 6 seconds to read a particular CV. Less than, and it's really true. Sometimes it takes me, I open a CV and I could just go straight, scan through everything, and I get the information I need in 3 to 5 seconds, and I move on to the next CV. So because we have so many applications to do, and so many process in the hiring process, so many stages in the process, we want to make sure that you want to make sure that every information you're giving out there is really plain for them to see and really informative. You're giving the right information, the exact information. So number two, the third one basically as everything as well, but then the coloring, right? Sometimes when we want to put down CVs, the color might really not really tell well with a recruiter. You don't know who the CV or who this recruiter would be. Some of them would just feel like this coloring is just too much, or they don't want anything color. But because you don't know, it's mostly best you put them on a black and white plain sheet, everything well highlighted, and less graphics and less things that you don't know might disqualify you. So for a CV, not just listing things, but being intentional about your CV would help you a lot. And mostly I advise people just take down the colors, make it a white and black background, just like the second one. And even if you want to put colors, it should just be two, like this first one, just probably two colors, and at most, or one color at most, just to prevent some things that you wouldn't know is happening at the back end of your application. The next thing I wrote here was talking about the importance of CVs, where it is a marketing tool. It tells your story, and the structure, the way you put down your story would help you be able to secure that first interview that you need to get into the company and to show yourself during interviews, right? So CV is really that important. Even sometimes when you get referrals to a job, or somebody in the company, most of the time they will still ask for your CV, and they will still like to see what you have written down on your CV. So this is why it's really, really important. And also, CV is something that you need one CV for each application that you are applying for. I know there is this one fit all strategy that people do. They just put down any CVs, or one CV for all applications they are going for, or all job posts that they see. This is not really right, because most of the time when I see this, I immediately know that this person did not put any work down on the CV. This is just a random application. And to be honest, I don't really take such applications seriously. And sometimes I would I would call on the person to have a first interview, especially if the person is very skilled and I'm seeing so many keywords, so many things that I'm really interested in. But then it means it's taking me more time to go through all the CV because I'm seeing different things on a particular document. And but because I'm really interested in the person, I would call on the person and just have that first talk. And yeah, when you go through the first interview, you are able to scale through, then you move forward. But it's just best that you have one CV for one type of job. uh, um, this particular slide, this is where I would really want to dwell on for structuring. So your CV, it goes with the work experience, it goes with the skills, it goes with your education, certification that you have, achievements that you've gotten. So I wouldn't really tell what should be on your CV because we practically would know that yes, education should be on my CV, experience should be on my CV, or skills should be on my CV. But this particular point is just to tell you what structure it should be, how the structure should be that would really help you to get your CV to be noticed by a recruiter within few seconds when they open it. So that is why I said structuring is key. Adapting your CV to a particular job description or a job post. So a job description is when companies they post a job on their website or on LinkedIn, and you see all the information about the company, you see the information about the job, and also their benefit, their bonus, and what they do in the company, right? So you adapting your CV, you formatting your CV to what is on the job description helps you a lot because it just we had the ones that wrote down those job descriptions, recruiters, they do, or the hiring team or the recruitment team. So we are very, very familiar with the job post. So if we are seeing such adaptations on your CV, immediately we are attracted to it, and we don't really have to spend so much time looking for what we need on your CV. Immediately, you are just into the door, right? So it's really, really important that we work with job descriptions. We read what the job description says. We go back to our CVs. We try to change some things, and just to make sure that we are showcasing ourselves and to show that we are also choosing the company that we are applying for, basically. I don't know if this system works in Nigeria, but I'm very sure it would. So the ATS, this is a system that recruiters or companies work with, whereby it has different features. I don't know, has anybody heard of ATS? Probably in Nigeria, if you know companies do this in Nigeria, if they work with ATS when screening or when featuring applications that comes in, just to get one or two confirmations that yes, ATS is really functional in Nigeria.
Apart from multinationals or banks,
yeah.
EPS is not so functional. Just very few, just multinationals, very few multinationals for banks.
Okay.
Just very few banks use
Just
ETS.
very few
But
banks.
on the larger spectrum, we don't
Okay.
use ETS so frequently.
Okay. Thank you so much, Israel. Well, that's really good to know. And this is why we even need to be intentional in what we write, because it means that it is a person that is screening the CVs, right? And also, even if we get referrals in terms of, somebody in the company and the person tells probably the manager and says, oh, I know a friend of mine, the manager would still ask for your CV and they would still open your CV to read it, right? So in as much as that first word has gone through for you, But if they see a very structured, a very attractive CV, it even boosts their confidence to say that, okay, aside from what I've heard from my colleague, they can see your CV, they see that intentionality about it, and they are even more committed to seeing you, to having that first interview. So so I will just say a little bit about ATS, because I know we are not just limiting ourselves to Nigeria. I know some of us might be interested to apply to international companies, companies outside Nigeria, or even this multinational companies that Israel mentioned. So ATS is a system whereby once you apply, say you apply on LinkedIn, as it gets to us, it doesn't get to the recruiter straight away. It goes through that screening process, that there is an algorithm that works on your CV, and it just kind of filters and screens things out that it can automatically reject you even before the recruiter sees it. And this is why that structuring is very needed. I will speak a bit about how we can work with this kind of mentality, or this how we can work with this on our mind, saying if a person is reading my CV, the same thing, or if an ATS system is working on my CV, how will this help me? So going back to the ATS I was mentioning, so it's sometimes there are different features for it. Sometimes if you don't read the job description and you don't see that they said that this particular job you need to be in Lagos to be uh to be um or to be qualified or eligible for the job. If you do not read that, and then there is nothing stating Lagos on your CV, it automatically rejects you because it's not able to screen or pick that. And also this the ATS can also work in a format whereby when the location is not really fitting in, and you answer some customized questions that comes at the end of the application. I don't know if some of you have come across something like that while applying. So after you upload your CV, they would ask you some questions to say, do you stay in Lagos? But because you've not really read through the job description very well, you just wrongly answer the question, or you say no, you're not in Lagos, you are automatically rejected, and your CV doesn't even get to the recruiter. So this is how ATS works. It has different functions, different features. The bigger the company, the more they can pay for these features. So, but a very large amount of the time, it's mostly works with the job description. If you don't follow what is on the job description, we set customized questions to screen out people that are not eligible, and then other CVs that can pass through that first filtering stage get onto the recruiter. When it comes to structuring your CV to be very, very ATS friendly and also recruiter friendly, it's more of ensuring that your experience are well highlighted, your skills, your certifications, your achievements are well written, and I would speak more on the structure when we go on to the live reviews, not to maybe stay long on this. Also, I spoke about how simple your CV should be. It should have the familiar add-ons like work experience, like education, something that is very common, and not just because you want to be very I don't know, probably highly skilled in English or something, you're trying to change the words. But if you can just stay or stick to the common words that are being used, the add-ons. I'm speaking about the add-ons right now for work experience, for education, using standard fonts like Arial, Calibri, or New Roman numeral. new romance, something new times romance, something that is very, very familiar to people that they can easily read. And also consistent formatting, avoiding graphics or tables. Now, graphics is, let's go back to the CV. So graphics is something like this. If you see this particular first CV that says location, it has this thing here that signifies location, right? In this kind of CV, sometimes the ATS or the system might not really be able to read it, and it just scatters your CV when it gets through the system. So that's why most of the time it's just always easy and safe to use a plain CV like this. So this is what they mean by graphics, where you have this Instagram logo or telephone logo, something like that. It's kind of, it makes your CV beautiful, right? It's fine. But then walking through the CVs, you never can tell what these companies are using. So it's just safe to use something very plain. So I have 2 more minutes because I plan to just have this slide for about 20, have this first conversation for like 20 minutes. So this last point would be about the area of focus. We will talk about this when we do the live review. When you're having your profile summary, it's always on top. It's the first things that you talk about. Having this very personalized, because it is your CV and you are not just copying from Google or copying from a template. I would say for me, for example, I don't read profile summary. This is something that that most recruiters don't really do. But then if it is very personal, very personalized and very different, very distinguished, we are compelled to read them. And I have seen a live situation whereby I had picked a particular person for an interview just because of the profile summary. I did not have to go through the experience to really, pick that person. And when I say personalized, because we've seen so many CVs, we can easily tell when this is similar to the next person, right? Because we are very familiar and we can see hundreds of CVs in a day. So if it's very, very different in terms of your achievement, it has your achievement, it has what you are, who you are, say you're a data analyst, or it has what you want to be at the end of the statement, who you are right now, who you want to be. It just gives us a good storytelling or a good summary of yourself, and it's not just a motivated individual that wants to work in this. No. All those words, to be honest, they are just words put down because we see them a lot and we are not really moved when we see that. But when we see achievement, when we see something personal, or it could even be a slogan or a quote that is very, very personal to you, when we see that and you can, link that up to who you are in few sentences, in addition to your achievement, it just helps you, it just kind of compels someone to want to read or to want to even meet that person. And I've seen several examples like that where I had the first call with the person just because of the profile summary. Yeah, so also skills, achievement, work experience, don't be repetitive. Make sure they are very clear and concise. We will talk about this during the live review. So yeah, this is okay. This very last one is something that I can always share this slide with everyone or with Stella so she can share this particular slide. She can share this on the group. People nowadays, technology is helping people to, build their CVs. You just go onto some websites. Some are free, most of them are not free. And, if you can just, not so expensive, whereby you just work with the templates that they provide, but you make it yours, right? You are the ones you are the one filling every point that is there, but they just help you to, format it, put it in the right sentence, put it in a more correct grammar, put in more correct grammars. They help you to, make it very clear, very concise. This is what they do. But still, you are the one writing each of the points down into the system. So it helps you, and we have different examples. And some of them would even help you review your CV after they have, after they have even created the CV for you. They would review it for you, or for example, JobScan, where it would compare your CV to the job description, and it will just help you. It will tell you if your CV is ATS friendly or not. Especially if you are jumping onto international companies, right? So these are websites you can check that would really help you. And also Google would help you. You can just put on Google, how to create a CV, a clear CV, and it will give you different options. And also, I would always advise social media is very important. Instagram, there are so many recruiters out there that they just share tips on how you can do an interview, how you can, go through, write your CV, how you can, scale through interviews for different stages. And I do this as well. I follow so many recruiters as well, just to get a better understanding of what is going on in the market. And last point, learning from experts, learning from people. It helps you learning from people, especially if you want to be a senior analyst, data analyst, something like that. You can check on their profiles, see what they have on their profile, also work on those things in your CV. You just bringing that to your CV as well. It will also really, really help you. Yeah. So I really want us to dwell more on the life review. This is just something something I just wanted to bring forth as an introduction before we start the life review. But before we get onto that, do we have any question for now? Do you have any question? Anything that was not clear?
I don't have any questions. Everything seems clear for me.
Okay, that's good. So since we don't have any question, everything seems clear. I would like to review a few. We received quite a number of CVs, but I would just like to review just a few, and then we can, also ask questions. Anything that's not clear, you can always even ask me as I'm speaking. You can always cut me short, and I would for sure answer them. So let me just stop sharing this particular one, and I can share. Let's see. So I have I don't know if we have Chika Eliaza, if we have this person, because I would like to, if you are here, I would like to ensure that you're here to see or to hear the review that's going on.
No, no. And Damaris, yeah, he's not here.
Okay. Okay, so let me just list the names of people that I have their CVs to review. So we have Emmanuel Chiamaka.
I saw him. He joined before. I think he has network issues.
Okay. So we also have Wendy.
No, Wendy is not here. I haven't
No,
seen
Wendy is not here. And how about Paul? And the reason why I want them to be here is because of number one, what's it called? Privacy issues. I don't want to open up their CVs while they're not here. Okay, we also have David as well. Okay. So I think we would have to, because I need to, I want us to learn from practical CVs that we can see. Okay, so I would start with this very one. So this person right here, this person has, let me see, about 4 pages of CV. Yeah, 3 or 4. 3. Okay, three pages of CV. Number one, this is a bit too much, because if you want a recruiter to see, to get the very good information about you, most of the time we don't really scroll. We just want to see your experience, we want to see your achievements, we want to see the skills that you've gotten, and and also for some specific roles that would require like engineering or accounting, they would want to see your education or certificates if you've gotten something like that. So you might want to place those information on top. So what I would say about this particular CV is that um ensuring that every let's start from the profile summary about me. So many information here that are really not needed, right? Whereby you are reformatting these words and saying that we don't need this information about the education. If I would want to review the CV, right, to say what should be removed or what should not be there, this particular portion is not really necessary. And also, I also like the fact that this statement is saying I am. So he is speaking as, okay, this is my summary, this is who I am, in this. Also, this particular statement here is saying this, I have certification is this, is not really needed, because you would place that under the certification headings. So you are not repeating what would be in your CV in your profile summary. Mostly, what should be on your profile summary is who you are, what you've done, how many years of experience you've gotten in this particular field, and what you've achieved in that field. And also, if you that's 3 statements already. And also what you want to do or what you want to achieve in the long run, right? So most of the time, when you say diplomatic individual with strong leadership, all these points like this can be in your skills. So we just need to be careful whereby we are not saying things that are already in the skills, that are already in the in the in the certifications or the education. So for me, I would say this particular profile summary just needs to be edited or needs to be written again, whereby you are seeing numbers, you are seeing that I achieved an increase in so thing by 50%. You are having that in your profile summary, and because it's the first thing that you see. Also, just because you want to reduce the number of pages you have on your CV, you are making this very, very short. Your skills, and I appreciate the fact that it brought the skills on top as well. It's really, really important, whereby after your profile summary, you bring up your skills, and your skills should be one word, just like this, where it says communication, where it says leadership, collaboration, something like this. And your skills should not be a sentence. I think that is very, very old fashioned, whereby we are putting ability to do this, ability to multitask, ability to. We should just stop using that as a statement and say skills is multitasking and something, or you can just put it as one word like this. But because this is a lot of bullet point for skills, it's taking a lot of space, and it's giving your CV, making your CV very long, and it's not affording you the space to bring up your experience up. Um, And there is something I noticed about this CV. This CV has everything in it. You are not tailoring your CV to a particular job advert you want to apply for. Because I'm seeing several things about operations. I'm seeing I'm seeing so many points, and it's just a lot already. I know in Nigeria we want to put everything out there, but then if you can look for the secret, I tell people, is look for the keywords that is on the job post and just put it there. If you have it, actually, you don't have to lie on your CV, and just put it. It can be exactly the same thing. It even has to be exactly the same thing, because it will just help you. If you are putting this tracking and budgeting, it's a lot of things, and I'm looking for what I want to see. You're wasting the time of the recruiter. Let's just jump down to. So I see this person is into operations, is into he had worked as an IT support before, and most of them are six bullet points. For sure, most of these sentences are just too long. And this is how you can, if you want to, if you feel you don't know how to make it shorter, you can use some probably Grammarly, or look for some tools online that would help you shorten, or even ChatGPT, just to help you shorten the sentences that will still be given the same context, right? Most of the time it's very long, and because we don't have that time to read through, we are not really seeing it as something very catchy. And also there is no achievement here. You're just listing what you've done, but you are not saying what this has done for you, what this task resulted into. What was the achievement? Like, you supervised and trained people on site. What was the success story of these people, right? It's something you can always talk about on your CV. So it's mostly the point I say to people, not just listing what you've done, but also put the results in percentage or in number, or put numbers. Say I supervised 10 to 15 workers, and we've seen an increase in these people. Like, just something very catchy that would show an achievement based on what you've done. I know in Nigeria, this bio data might be something very needed, but for me, I would say nationality is not really needed. You are in Nigeria, and even if you want to apply to an international company, you don't need to put it. Your LinkedIn profile is there. If they want to know more about where you are from, they can always go through your LinkedIn. So you don't need to put it. Also, date of birth. If you want to apply outside Nigeria, it's not really needed. Your sex as well, it's not really needed. So location. So yeah, these are the few points I will just make from here. I saw that Micah joined, and I mentioned I was going to review his CV as well. So just give me a minute. So I would like to share Micah's CV. Micah, can you see your CV? Micah, are you there?
He's replying in the chat. He says he can.
Oh yeah, okay, on the chat. Okay, good. Thank you. So number one, thank you for sharing your CV, and also thank you for being here to receive such review. Mainly, this review is just to tell you what I can see as a recruiter, how I would perceive the CV once I open it, just like this, right? Your CV, it's really great. It's really clear, right? I can easily read what is there. Looking at number of pages, I have 3 pages. Yeah, 3 pages, which is really long. I think Nigeria, it might not be, you might think it's not, but then it's not really doing you so much good, because when a recruiter feels very comfortable, when a recruiter feels, yeah, if I, okay, when a recruiter feels comfortable with a particular CV that is short, but then they can see the very needed relevant information, they are happy. You are making them happy. You are reducing the time they have to spend on your CV to check it before they can call you. So you're giving them more time to do other things, right? So it just gives them a very good impression about you. Number one, it shows that you have really gone through the job description. You know, when I was talking from the beginning, where your CV needs to be tailored to that particular job you are applying for. We are the ones that posted that job, so we know what is on the job description. If we can see the same thing on your CV, and the same thing in terms of what you've done, right? And we can read the same thing there. We just immediately want to call you. We just immediately want to hear the person speak. Speak to the CV that they've shared with us. So your CV is great. The heading has the address, your email address, phone number, and also your LinkedIn page. The first part, this heading should have your LinkedIn page. That's if you have a LinkedIn page, where they can easily see your social presence in terms of corporate in the corporate world, and they can always get other information about you, right? But then it's very important you have your LinkedIn page on top here. Your career objective. I know people use career objective, or they say profile summary, or they say what's the other word there? They give it different headings, but it's also the same thing. So a career objective would probably be for someone that is just starting their career, or they have never worked in that position before, right? Or you want to start your first job in an IT firm, but then you have some very little years of experience. Say you've just done internship. So your objective means these are your aims, and your aim why you want to apply for this job, right? Why you are sharing the CV. But then I would say, instead of putting objective, making it just as an objective alone, it should be a profile summary, but then you are still putting a statement, or a sentence about your objective, right? Even if you are a new person in that career. So you just project yourself as someone that is intentional, and you are confident about who you are, where you are, and you're also confident about where you are, what you want to do, or where you are going to. So this one says, a graduate of plant science, organizational leadership, has passion for coordinating and transforming lives. So now, I would say in one word, all this, it's just skills. These are skills, right? Problem solver, a collaborator, that you've put in sentences, but they can be in bullet points. So this is not a very good, it's not even saying objective, right? Okay, also to acquire more knowledge and skills. It's not, this is like the only sentence that is showing an objective here, a goal, or something, an aim you want to achieve, right? um I would say this profile summary, or this beginning, is not really compelling. It's so generic. It's something I would say I've seen a million of times. It's not really intriguing for me to even want to spend so much time this portion, but then it's the first thing that comes up, and this is why you need to optimize this particular portion of your CV. It's really, really important, whereby they are already interested in you before they even have to scroll down, right? This profile summary, this first portion of your CV is really important. And this is why I always advise, say, after your profile summary, make another heading, even before your work experience, make another heading where you bullet point your skills and achievements. Sometimes people put their education up here. It's not really necessary, because nowadays, especially unless for very critical roles like accounting, whereby you need to, and they will state it in their job post, whereby they would say you need to have a degree in so and so, or in engineering. That is when you can put your education up, so they can see that. But if it's not stated there, you don't need to put your education up. It can be down, and you just move up your skills or your achievement. An achievement would be that probably it was a project and you had such an increase in revenue due to that project. The revenue increased from 1 million naira to 2 million naira. You put it there, you highlight it there, so they see that, and they are already interested. They want to hear from you to see how you achieve that through that project. So that is an achievement. So going into work experience, Stella, please let me know how much time I have, and I can proportion myself for each of the CVs I would be working on. So this particular experience just it shows that this particular person is just starting, right? I'm seeing internship. I'm seeing NYC. Yes, this was when the person was teaching. So I'm seeing so many internship here, and this is really great, right? So what I would say, instead of you highlighting or putting bullet points on the companies you have worked in, why not remove the bullet points on that is attached to Access Bank or Lamat Stable Water, and put each of your experience in bullet points like this: handling of customers' complaints in one bullet point, issuing of, instead of them instead of you linking the sentences together, it's really clustered, and I can't really easily read what I want to see as a recruiter. So instead of you putting each of the companies you've worked in bullet points, put the experience in bullet points. So now I'll pick this one: handling of customers' complaints. This is it's not telling me anything. So yeah, this is, you worked as a customer care officer. That title alone would tell me that yes, this is what you are doing in the job. But then it's not telling any story, because I know this from your title. If you can tell me you did this, so what was the outcome after doing this? Handling of customers' complaint, which reduced the number of complaints, or which reduced the number of customer having this issue. Putting it in a very clear sentence, right? Issuing of automated teller machine to customers, like how many? You can just give a rough estimate to say I issued in a month. You could just say issuing of automated, you could say 90% of automated teller machine was issued by you. Issued this is to customers, right? Of course, you can't really tell the number of customers you've given, but you are quantifying the number of teller machines that you've done. So it gives the recruiter an insight to say that, okay, this person has really worked with so many of these teller machines. So if he has done this before, he can do it again, right? So quantifying your experience, putting the outcome would really help you. And just like I said, I'm seeing teaching, I'm seeing research laboratory. So several different things in one CV. try and tailor your CV to that job post that you're really interested in. And I know sometimes some people would say that, okay, it's not the job titles they need to tailor, but the skills or what the experience they have in a company is similar to what the new job post is saying. That is fine. But then if you are not formatting or putting your sentence in a way that is very similar to that new job post, you are still not tailoring it. I don't know if you understand me. If you can, like this now, this is a teaching position, right? Organized tutorials, this is this. If I want to reformat this class teacher role to this customer care officer role, it would not be the same sentence. It would or should not be the same sentence, right? I would look for something else that I've done in that school that is related to customer caring or related to customer service, right? Just tweaking the English, whereby it will tell the same thing but in a different role. This is what I mean by tailoring, right? So you just don't say because you're a class teacher, of course I taught this. You just put the sentences that way. Then it's not really appealing. The person will be like, it's not really needed in this particular role, right? Okay, so education, really very, very important. Your CV is 3 pages. There are so many things that needs to be removed from here that would shorten your the pages. Like the education, if you have gone through bachelor's, secondary school is not needed because they know that if you can finish bachelor's, for sure you have written WAEC, right? Before you can get on to bachelor's. I think that's the way it works in Nigeria. So if they know you have a bachelor's degree, then you don't need to put this secondary school or primary school there. And this one, it's in view, so it needs to be there. And you've really, really written when you would finish, which gives them a good understanding, right? So yeah, awards and honors, it's good. You can always put that there. So yeah, you have your skills set. So this information down here should be above, because now I have to go down to the second page before I can see that. Okay, so now this is a lot. This is a lot. Yeah, this can always be down. If you want to share them, this can always be down. But then the very most important information that needs to be up on top of your CV should be on top. So your skills and competence certifications, your achievements should always be up. Should always be up. Please ensure you remember that. And always tailor. You don't have to put every information on your CV. Ensure that it's just very relevant to the job you're applying to, basically. Okay, so I'm seeing okay, so Stella, please, do I have time?
Kelly, we've run out of time.
Okay. Can I do one more, or can I just finish here? Because I don't know if we have these people on the call.
I don't know who else you want to do. I see that. Okay, which other person do you want to do?
Okay, so I would like to this very, very good CV, just so we can have an example of what it is.
Okay.
So this particular CV, this one, very nice. You would know that looking at the CV, you would know that this person is into graphic designing, UX design and all. It gives that information. And just like I said, he brought out his skills already on top. I can see that he also, the profile summary has the number of years that he has worked, and also, also it wrote the tools that he had worked with. It just helps, gives that good information about the person, right? And then looking at the, and it's really clear, looking at the experience here, what he did was that he worked on this particular project, and each of the projects that he worked upon, he gave two tasks or two experience, what he did, really stating what he did for each of the projects. It just helps the recruiter to say, okay, he has worked on this project and this was what he did. But then there is no results, no outcome, right? To say, okay, to create interactive prototype for user testing and stakeholder presentation, right? Okay, yeah, this is even an outcome. This is a very clear CV, really good CV. Yeah, so this for the second point, where he is a freelancer. He's still a freelancer right now. He said leading to a 75% increase in brand recognition. This is a result. So it's a very clear CV. It states each of the things that he has done, and it's just bringing out the result. And then education is down here. Certification is also down here. This is a 2-page CV, which is very clear, which is still very acceptable. 1-2 pages, but if it's getting onto 3 pages, then it's just a lot already. Yeah, so this will be all. This will be all from my hand. Thank you so much. And if anybody has any question, you can always come off mute, or you can always put them on the chat. Thank you.
Okay, so I think that we are done with the CV reviews. I can see in the chat that, okay, so I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry that we don't have time. We've run out of time, literally. We are already 14 minutes into 8 p.m. and I would like for us to finish early. So I would start first by saying a big thank you to Damaris for taking out the time to do this reviews. Like I mentioned, we were going to try as much as we could to review some of the CVs, just so that you see what you're doing wrong in your CV, what to correct. If yours wasn't reviewed, you can watch through what was reviewed and see how to apply it. There's already one on the screen, which Damaris already says that it's a really good CV. So you can think of using this as a reference point. I will just quickly go on to share my own part of today's webinar. And I'll try to make it quick because I don't want us to stay past the time that we slated for the event. So let me first start by sharing my screen and maybe turning on my camera. Do you see me? Can you see me? I think you can see me. Okay. All right, great. So I'm just going to go ahead to share my screen. Let me know when you can see it. Just give me 1 second. Okay, great. Okay. Can you see my screen? Let me know if you can see my screen. Okay, so I'm going to start. So I'm going to be taking the second part of today's class. And today's class, I'm going to be talking all about your career goals. And I'm specifically just going to talk about career goals in general, employment readiness, and all the things that we talked about in the in the flyer. So a brief of introduction. My name is Stella, and I'm the founder of the Student Safe Space. I'm currently a specialist planner at Procter & Gamble. And this is who I am basically. My specialty is particularly in goal setting, career and productivity, and study abroad tips. In my spare time, I like to travel, volleyball, listen to music, and my favorite movie genre is fantasy, and Harry Potter still tops my chart. So when it comes to my skill and expertise, I prefer to talk more about what I do on the side rather than what I do professionally. I'm into graphics design. I like to edit videos. So I have a YouTube channel, which you can check out in your free time. It's Gigi Stella. You can check it out on YouTube and you can see a lot of videos that I have put out there. I'm also into content creation on the side, and I like to create productivity journals as well. And sometimes I also offer public speaking engagements. I'll go straight to the agenda so that we don't waste too much time. The three main things that we're going to talk about today is 1, employment readiness. The second is corporate networking tips. And lastly, we'll talk about setting and achieving career goals. So let's talk about employment readiness. Before I go into employment readiness, what do you think about like employment readiness? Like when it comes to how many persons here are already graduates? Like you're done with school. You can just raise up your hand and I'll just see. If you're a graduate already. Okay, peace, I can see you. Any other person? Okay, so I want to assume that the remaining participants here are students. Okay, so let's go on. When you talk about employment readiness, it's basically trying to sort of get you ready for school, for the labor market. And usually, sometimes these things are not things that are said to you when you're in school. They're not sometimes put in black and white for you in school. Sometimes you need to have to figure them out, or sometimes you need to rely on webinars like this to find out what you should be ready for when it comes to being employable. Getting a degree is not just enough for you to be employable. And that's why we have this webinar, so that you can learn and understand what you need to have on your CVs. I doubt there's anybody who had a class for anybody in school or a course that said, oh, we're going to teach you how to write a CV or how to write a cover letter. Most times you don't have this kind of things. But enough talk, let's go straight into the point. So when I talk about employment readiness, the first few things I want to talk about is the most basic of basic, your CV. Your CV is a representation of you in an environment where you are not present. Your CV will speak for you in front of a panel. So if someone wants to get to know you and they don't know you from anywhere, they don't know you from Adam, the first thing they will use to find out who you are is your CV, which is why it is important for you to make a first good impression with your CV. Just like Damaris has been hammering throughout the first session of this webinar, tailoring your CV to fit a job description is very important. One mistake that so many people make is submitting one CV for every job application. That's very wrong. If you're looking for a job as a data analyst, or you're looking for a job as a researcher, the kind of CV that you're going to send for a data analyst will be different from the kind of CV you send for a researcher. They are two different things. That's why it's important for you to tailor the job, the CV to fit the job description. So read through the job description. When you read through the job description, then it will give you an idea of what they are looking for. Like the thing that Damaris mentioned, there's something called ATS. I think it's automated tracking system. That's the full meaning. What that thing does is that it sort of picks out certain keywords in the job description and looks for those keywords in your CV. Which means if, for instance, like Damaris mentioned, if they're looking for someone who is residing in Lagos, and in your CV, you write something like address or location, you put Ogun State, the ATS does not know that you are in Ogun State, which is maybe maybe 10, 15 minutes drive from Lagos, it won't know. It will automatically screen you out. So that's why it's important for you to read the job description, then tailor your CV to fit the job description. You can do this by simply reading through the job description, marking out the keywords, and ensuring that those keywords are inside your CV. That's the simplest way to do it. The second thing you need to do is to highlight relevant skills and experiences. It's important for you to make it easy for the recruiting person, whoever is going to read your CV, to simply see what they are looking for without having to do too much work. And then try as much as you can to keep it concise. Usually a 1-page CV, 2-page CV at most. And this is I would recommend this mostly for people who have more experience. So someone who has maybe 10 years experience, but obviously that's not the people we have on this call, because most people on this call are either students or just recent graduates. So I would advise, keep your CV to 1 page. Any experience you want to write about, the most relevant things is what you should highlight. And when you're highlighting those relevant things, make sure that you're putting some numbers to it. If you've probably improved a certain process, or you help to deliver a big promo for your company, write out the percentage of how much you delivered on that particular promo. That's what helps your recruiter to sort of put a quantity or put a value to what you did, as opposed to just writing what you did, like repeating the job description. Write what you actually, the value you offered them. For instance, if I'm going to say, I was in charge of preparing documentations for my office to do XYZ task, it sounds more like I'm just writing out the description of the role, as opposed to saying, I delivered, or I developed a system by which we're able to deliver on this task, so that routine tasks was then automated by XYZ processes, thereby cutting down work by 30 minutes, 1 hour, etc. Now, you've turned what you do and you showed the value you offered. That's 2 different things now, 2 entirely different things. And another thing you need to make sure in your CV is to try as much as you can to proofread. Your CV should be error-free, because it also shows that you pay attention to detail. Last thing I'll talk about on resume and also cover letter tips is to showcase how enthusiastic you are. I will usually refer to this in cover letters. In your cover letters is more or less like a letter that just says it's not like a CV. It's just like a formal letter to tell the person that I'm interested in this role. But you should sound very enthusiastic about it. When you're sounding enthusiastic, people can either see it from the way you write or can hear it from your voice. And these are things I'm going to talk about when we come to interview preparation. Now, in interview preparation, which is the second part of employment readiness, you need to first research about the company you want to work with. Research about them. Find out about their culture. What is the company culture? What is the company motto? What is the company values? What is the company's principles? These are basic things that you need to find out. Because if you want to become a part of that company, it doesn't make sense that you don't even know how the company operates. So why do you even want to join them in the first place? For instance, it could be that you want to join a company because you notice that they rank high in their diversity and equality ranking. It could be that you want to join them because they are particularly invested in giving back to society, maybe by way of their the kinds of projects that they offer or the kind of projects that they do. It could be because that the company's goals and values align with your values. For instance, if the company's values is that they value integrity, they value trust, they value loyalty, and these are things that are intrinsic with you as an individual, then you can say, okay, I want to join this company because I see that you have values that align with the values, my own core beliefs. This is something reasonable for someone to listen to, and it shows that you've done your homework. But more importantly, you should also try to prepare for questions for the interviewer. So let's say, for instance, that you've scaled through the resume or the CV submission part, and now you've submitted your CV. you are now preparing for an interview. It's very important for you to make sure that you prepare questions for the interviewer. So not only should the interviewer ask you questions, you should also ask the interviewer question. That way the interviewer will know that this person did not just only prepare, but also wants to know if this company is a good fit for them. Because it's not the company is not just doing you a favor, you're also doing the company a favor by wanting to work with them in the first place. So questions like, oh, how do you resolve conflict within a team? What conflict management style do you use when there is a conflict between upper management and lower management? How do you address issues regarding unmet needs or unmet, let's say, expectation of your staff? What is your reward system like? How do you how do you measure people's progress within a team? How do you know that someone is measuring up to to the particular job role that they're hired for? These are questions that you sort of ask, and that makes if you ask this question, trust me, you're going to wow a recruiter, because a recruiter is also interested to see if this person knows their salt. And that's a way of you being able to do that. Then another thing to do is to prepare for behavioral questions. And usually I would suggest that if you want to find out about behavioral questions, I would actually suggest that you should go to Glassdoor. When you go to Glassdoor, you'll be able to see people who have attended similar interviews. If, for instance, an international company, most often than not, you will see anonymous people that would have put interview questions that they asked them in that particular role. And then you will see what the interview level was like. You say, okay, was the interview difficult? Was it simple? Let me try and find one. Maybe I will show you how this looks like or how it works. So just give me a second and maybe I'll just show you now. So for instance, let me go to Glassdoor. So you see on Glassdoor, I don't know if you can still see my screen. Can you still see my screen? Can you see Glassdoor now? Okay, give me a second.
We can see it. We can see it.
Okay, great. So let's say, for instance, now wait, just give me a second. Why is this still showing? Okay. For instance, in this Glassdoor, okay, got it. Jump in. Okay. So you can see for instance, in this place now, people are asking questions. These are people asking questions about different things. You can go on to maybe ask, for instance, you can go on to look for a job. This here, I clicked on these jobs. And now you can see, for instance, business analyst. You can see, okay, let's look for data analyst jobs. Let me put, for instance, data analyst. And when I put data analyst, I'm seeing 564 search results, and I can see different things here. I can see GIS analyst. I can see with this. Okay, let's put this data analyst position. So you can see this data analyst position now. You can see it's showing me all the things that I need to find out about it. And if I want to find out maybe interview questions, let's say, for instance, I want to, let me go to the companies. For instance, I want to search for a company. There is Accenture, there is Deloitte. Okay, let's do PwC. And when I click on PwC, you can see here on PwC, you can look for the job that you want to find in PwC. You can find out how much the job how much they usually pay. So you can see here in the salaries. If I click on salaries, it will tell me, okay, in the financing and accounting, consulting, business, information technology, engineering, it just shows me different parts of this particular company. Now, this is the part where I was talking to you about in the interviews. When I click on the interviews, do you see, it shows me this is 2.9 out of 5% difficulty. So most people felt that the interviews were not so difficult. If you go down again now, you can see what people said about it. So someone said working student interview. And then it said, I interviewed at PwC, and it says in Amsterdam. And it was like, okay, this is what they said. This one said, I interviewed here. This one also said, I interviewed at PwC. This is what they said. This is what they said. And then look at the questions. What do you think is going to be the biggest challenge for you if you join the team? So these are the interview questions that this person was asked. So basically, when you come on Glassdoor, you can find out the kinds of interview questions that was asked. You can also find out the salaries that the people are asking that they're going to likely pay. If you're looking for, okay, how much do these people pay? So that you can get an idea of how much you can ask for, so that you don't shortchange yourself or maybe overprice yourself. These are like practical places where you can find those information. And let me go back to our presentation. Sorry. Nope. Okay. So now let me go back to this part. So here you find out, you can use the behavioral questions. You can find out behavioral questions. So basically, how do you behave in a certain situation? And then you can find out situational questions. So assuming something happened. So for instance, behavioral questions simply means if you are in a particular, like what, describe a time. So it usually starts with describe a time when you took leadership for this, tell us what you did, how you did it. And usually the STAR method is to sort of point out the situation. So what was the situation like? What was the task that you were given? What were the actions you took? And what was the result of those actions? So it could be like, for instance, describe a time when you took up a leadership position. What did you do and what was the result? You can start by saying the situation. Or for instance, I was a student. During the time when I was a student, I had a project, and the project was supposed to be done by 6 people in my team, and nobody was taking up the position. So I decided to take up the position to lead the team and sort of coordinate the activities of the team. You've described the situation. Next thing you can mention is the task. So what was the task? The task was for us to do a survey for a food market and deliver on the kinds of food that customers buy on a weekly basis and on the weekends, and to make a comparison using XYZ tools, etc. You've described the task. Now, what was your action? The first action I took was 1, and it's good for you to say, it's good. It's really nice when you want to iterate your points, and then you kind of give a signpost. So signposting is like when you say 1, or you can say, I took the following actions, 1. That way, the person who is listening to you is counting. Automatically, when they hear it, they begin to count. So you say, I took the following actions. 1, I first of all gathered everybody on the team, explained the activities for them, explained the whole assignment, and explained for them the expectation of the lecturer. 2, I decided to distribute the workload according to the different individuals and according to the different, according to their strengths and weakness. 3, I followed up on each of them every week and organized weekly calls to ensure that everyone was up to the task. 4, you know, you're listing out the things that you're doing, and then you can now sum up. And then the result, so now you're signposting again. The result of this action was that we were able to get an excellent grade and even a recommendation from the lecturer, who felt that our work was the best out of every other person's work. Now, this is a way for you to use the STAR method. So you first of all describe the situation, then you talked about the task that you did, then you talk about the actions that you took, and then you talked about the results that you achieved. And like I mentioned before, when you want to put the results, try as much as you can to quantify it. Don't just say we were the best in the class. You can say we had an excellent grade, or you can say we had an A in the course, or you can say we got 75% in the course. I'm just using this particular example, but don't just say we were the best in the class, because when you kind of quantify it, it's easier for the person who's listening to you to see what value you got from that particular thing. I don't know if you're following like my drift now. Now, the next thing, again, I'm going to talk about is like the situational questions. So practice situational questions. Sometimes the situational question could be assuming. So usually it's an assumption. It's not something you've done before. Usually they just assume, and they just want to test what will you do in a certain situation. And they'll be like, if, for instance, your manager is not around and there is a quick decision that has to be made, the partners are waiting for a response and your manager is nowhere to be found, you cannot reach your manager, what will you do in that situation? That is a situational question. Now, they sort of ask you something, preempt something, and then ask you to see what your action or reaction will be if you were in that situation. And in that kind of case, I would usually tell you to try and look for situational questions, diverse situational questions, so that whatever kind of situational questions you find yourself, you can always fit it in. But let me give you the trick. Usually, the trick for situational questions is that it will fall within the values or it usually fall within the values or the principles of that company. For instance, the situational question might be to test your leadership skill, or to test your integrity, or to test maybe your innovative acumen. It could just be about testing something that is a principle of that company. If, for instance, the company is big on integrity, they can give you a situational question to test that integrity. They can ask you, say, for instance, you are in a situation where you see a shortcut to expedite a process. Your company is going to gain more money if you follow this process, but and nobody's going to find out if you do it anyway. But the other alternative is for you to wait 3 months to do the standard method that is the way you usually would do it. What would you do? This is clearly testing your integrity. You just want to know if you're going to take shortcuts. Even if it's going to benefit the company, it's still against the company's ethos. It's still against the company's ethics. Do you get? So in that situation, they are trying to test your integrity. And in this case, you need to showcase that you understand what the company's quote unquote value system is. If the company's value system is integrity, you cannot give an answer that shows that you're anti the company's value system. So this is like a trick for you to understand or to kind of prepare ahead what kind of situational questions they're going to ask you. And usually it will border on the company's major value systems, their belief, their culture, whatever it is that the company's founding system is about. It will usually border on those things. So that can kind of preempt you to sort of prepare for situational questions. Now, the last thing on interview preparation is your professional attire. Most often than not, people these days usually do interviews online. But if, for instance, it's an in-person interview, it's really good for you to dress well. Dressing well will always give you a very good first impression. Take it or leave it. It doesn't matter if you're Albert Einstein of today, or if you are the Michael Faraday of today. If you don't dress well, the way you dress in is the way because human beings are subjective. As much as they want to be objective, they're somehow still clouded by their sentiment. If you dress a certain way, the person will start judging you before you even open your mouth. So try and dress well. Even if you have to do an online interview, look prepared. Look like you're dressed well. Even if they're not going to see you, just shall look like you're prepared. The next thing I'm going to talk about in your employment readiness is skill development. So skill development is on both before you get a job and after you get a job. Because sometimes people used to prepare for skills only before they get the job. After they get the job, they don't care about skills development. No, that's not proper. Skill development usually borders on both your hard skills and your soft skills. So what are your hard skills? Hard skills are the technical things you know. If you're a software developer, knowing C, C++, knowing Python, knowing R language, that is your technical skills. But your soft skill is now what you as a person are. So how do you communicate? Are you a proactive communicator? If something is happening, are you proactive enough to communicate it to leadership before it goes bad? That is a soft skill. If you're someone who is emotionally intelligent, this one is a natural gift though. I'm not asking you to go and learn how to be emotional. Of course, it's good. But people who are naturally emotionally intelligent, that is a soft skill you need to sell. By all means, sell it. If you have it naturally, sell it. Things like being self-driven, like nobody needs to push you to get a task done. You are working remotely, and this will tie in very well if you work remotely, because people don't want to be following up every second to ask you, did you do this? Did you do this? No. If you're able to do those things without someone telling you about it, this is a good soft skill. So these are the things that you need to develop. Even after you've gotten the job, it's still important for you to keep developing those skills. That is what is going to keep you relevant in that role. And that's just about much of what I will say about it. The next thing I'm going to talk about is corporate networking. Corporate networking is very, very important. And here's why. 85% of the jobs that are out there are filled through networking. It doesn't matter if, sometimes it doesn't matter if you are very, very, like, if sometimes you could be average just by knowing somebody who is inside that company and somebody referring you for that role, the chances that you can get that job is high. That's the truth. Because companies currently encourage their employees to refer their friends. The reason they do this is because if, for instance, now let me give you an analogy. If, for instance, an entire stranger is selling something, you don't know this person from Adam. None of your close friends know this person. Okay, maybe let me not use that. For instance, if your friend buys something and you see that that thing is working for your friend, the chances that you're going to ask your friend where the person bought it so that you also go and buy it is high. Why? And that's where this thing about review came about. I think reviews came up. Someone introduced the idea of reviews. The idea of reviews was to help people sort of like, it's this kind of person-to-person validation. If someone validates something, the chances that you're going to buy into that thing is high because you know this person and you sort of trust this person to a certain extent. So that if the person says this thing is good, the chances that you think that it's also good for you is also high. So when a company hires you and they know you, they see you, they understand you, you've worked with them, they see you're a person of value, obviously you've still been working with them. If you refer someone to them, there's a higher chance that they will pick the person you refer to them as opposed to picking someone that they don't know from anywhere who is just applying because they saw the job on the internet. That's usually how most of these job roles are filled. And it's usually filled by this person referred this person, or this person's CV, or this one. Even the recruiter says it's easy for the recruiter because if the recruiter has recruited somebody like that, and they know that the person that they recruited before is of high value, there's a high chance that the friend of that person is also going to be high value. That's just the way it works. And it sort of cuts down, sort of funnels down the number of applicants they receive. Why am I stressing on this thing? Networking is very important because someone you randomly meet on LinkedIn, you randomly meet the person on LinkedIn. Trust me, if you meet the person a third time, and this time around, you're meeting the person in a place where you're seeking a job, you're no longer a stranger because the person has met you. The person has met you online. The person knows you in a way. They sort of have seen you. They've seen you posting regularly. You're posting all the time on LinkedIn. You're talking about a particular field that you're interested in. You're talking about the innovations in that field. You're talking about, before you know it, people will start DMing you. Hello, we're looking for someone to fill this role. Are you interested? We're looking for someone to fill this role. Just like that. And that's how recruiters go. They're looking through your CV, through your page. They're seeing you posting things regularly. You're very active on LinkedIn. You're very active on social media. You're posting about a particular or a specific industry, and you're talking about it, pouring out your knowledge about it. You're obviously showing that you know this particular thing. Before you know it, and by the time you start networking with them, a lot of my friends, they are mostly friends with recruiters. So most of their friends, recruiters, they're always making friends with this recruiter, that recruiter, this. They're just making friends with different recruiters in different parts of the world. Before you know it, your post will be showing up on their timeline. They will keep seeing it. Obviously, they're seeing your time. They'll see you involved in this. They'll see you involved with that. They'll see you before you know it. When you submit your CV, you are no longer a stranger to them. To them, they kind of know you. And it will be easier for you as opposed to someone who is a ghost on all the social media. You're not anywhere. Nobody used to see you anywhere. You don't post anything. You're doing, I'm an adult. I don't post. I want to give them mysterious. Nobody will know you. And in this age and time when social media is a thing, it is paramount for you to be on social media. When I say be on social media, I'm not saying be on social media to be insulting people. I'm saying be on social media, showing yourself, like strategically putting yourself in the purview of the people that matter. And why am I saying this? Networking in a way that sort of puts you in the right, in the right people's eyesight, so that they can see you and see what you're doing. When they see you and see what you're doing, there's a chance that they will reach out to you. Now, another thing for you with networking is that you sort of gain industry insight. So when you start networking, so when you start posting, your posts will likely reach people that are also interested in that field. And then people who are in that field will begin to reach out to you as well. Maybe not to offer you a job, but just maybe to sort of link up with you. And before you know it, you're growing your network. You don't know, you've never met this person. There are people I've never met in real life, but I feel like I know them so much. In social media, I post something, I just talk about something, I air my view on something, and before I know it, I'm seeing, oh, this person sent you a friend invite. This person wants to link up with you. And then before you know it, I'm commenting on this person's page, he's commenting on my page, and then there's this cross interaction. Before you know it, you're growing and growing, and then you're building your own network. And then that's how you continue growing, and then eventually get the kind of like network that you need. Another thing is that you are able to discover job opportunities. There are people who get job opportunities simply because of what they've been posting. They posted about a certain field all the time, consistently. And then information about something, it doesn't come from heaven, no. It comes from human being. If God is going to give you something, he's going to give you through somebody. So sometimes that information you're looking for is within somebody knows it. But for them to be able to tell you, they need to know you or they need to see you. Before you know it, you see someone come up with one info. Oh, are you interested in this particular thing? This XYZ is happening there. It's just because you are networking. And another thing I would say is, when you want to network, don't be so interested in networking up. A lot of people want to do, vertical networking. You want to do upward networking. So someone who is higher than you or more skilled than you or has more ability. No, don't just try to network up. Also network horizontally. Network with people in your peer, people who are like within your circle. Why? Because all of you are a peer, right? There's a chance that this person is going to grow and get to a certain level. This person is also going to grow. All of you're all pursuing the same thing. Because that's not happen for them doesn't mean it will not happen. Eventually, it's going to happen for them. This person will grow. This person will grow. All of you are growing. One day, you people will now be the people at the top. If you did not network with them when they were here, like if you did not network with them when they were in your peer, what chance will you have now to network with them when they've gotten there? Do you understand? So it's really important for you to start building that network with people in your own circle. As they are growing, grow with them. You know, help them when they are also posting their events. If they're posting events, post for them. If they are sending out links, share the links as well. Because there will be a time when it will come all of you, they will get to that point, and they're no longer small names, but they will not see you as a stranger because you have always been there, even when they were in their very, very beginning stages. So this is quite important. Don't just keep looking at up. Another thing again on networking, and this will take me to my next topic about corporate networking, is like the networking tips and tricks. When it comes to networking, you can do like online networking, which I've already stressed like a lot. So you can use your LinkedIn effectively. As regards this particular conversation, I would highly, highly recommend LinkedIn. Another thing is to join like forums, relevant groups, etc. But there's another important way to network, and it's in-person networking. In-person networking will happen, especially for people who are still in school. You see those conferences that they are encouraging you to attend. My dear, attend it. Go there, just go there, meet people, meet new people, greet them, say hello, talk about what you know. If you don't know anything, just listen to them talk. If you do not know anything, just listen and be nodding your head. Whatever they say, just be nodding. Just shall be present. You can even ask a few questions. Your own is just to be there and mark your presence that you were there and they saw you and you took contacts. But after you take the contacts, try to follow up. Follow up with them, you know, chat them up. Hello, how was this? I remember this particular thing from this, that. What do you think about this particular thing? I'm working on this, I'm working on that. Just make sure that you're following up. And that was actually like to round off with the effective networking strategy that I was talking about. So try and follow up, send them thank you messages if they did something for you. Try to keep in touch regularly. And then another thing is to offer value. So offer value to them. If there's a problem, try to see if you can solve it. If you cannot solve it, try to maybe offer help. Is there something I can do? Can I help you with this? Can I help you with this? Is actually a way for you to offer value. Because when you offer value, you stay relevant within that network. The last thing I want to talk about today is on setting career goals. Now, if you've been attending our classes long enough, you would have already understood the abbreviation SMART, which stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. I don't want to go into the nitty-gritties because I'm almost going to sound like a broken record talking about SMART goals. But as well, you already know what SMART goals are. They should be specific, so it shouldn't be ambiguous. It should be measurable, something that, okay, this is what this thing is. Like, if I achieve it, I know that I've achieved this. It should be achievable. So, for instance, you cannot say, okay, as a recent graduate, you want to jump into senior role. It's not achievable. At the point where you are, it's not achievable. You have to start from entry role. And then it should be relevant. So is it relevant to what you're doing, where you're going to? Then lastly, it should be time bound. So when do you want to achieve it? Next thing you want to do is to talk about short-term and long-term goals. There are short-term goals which can lead to long-term goals. For instance, if your long-term goal is to make senior partner, for instance, you're a lawyer, you want to make senior partner, you have to first of all start with being an associate, right? So you've gotten into a law firm. You have to first of all become an associate first, then land your first client, then maybe move to being a junior partner before you now start talking about senior partner. So these are like short-term goals. You know, they are step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. You can map out those plans. Map out, okay, this is what I want to achieve in the long term, but how am I going to get there? And those are your what? Short-term goals. Even in your short-term goals, you can still have even short-term goals inside your short-term goals. But just have a roadmap that can sort of guide you. Because a wise man once said, if you don't have a destination, everywhere will look like a destination. So that is something that you need to like understand. Now, let's talk about creating a career plan. The first thing you need to understand with creating a career plan is to identify your strength and your weakness. So identify your strengths, identify your interests. What interests you? What piques your interest? You can do this by maybe self-evaluation, or you can easily do it by feedback. Ask people around you, what do you think I'm good at? Those people can tell you, okay, a number of things, and then you can begin to narrow down from there. The next thing you need to do is to research about the career paths that are available within this field of interest. Sometimes it's also possible for you to take your interest and be too passionate about it without thinking of what will feed you. See, Me, I'm always about following passion, but you have to eat before you follow passion. So if something that you're interested in is not going to feed you, you might want to first of all find something that will feed you and then use that thing that will feed you to fund your passion. So wisdom is profitable to direct. Basically, your researching the career path is to sort of narrow down those interests to fit into something that you can now do that will pay you. You can now try to like explore different career industries, explore different roles, check what they need. What skills do I need to build? Do I have those skills? If I don't have those skills, how long will it take me? Do I need to take certification courses? Do I need to register for classes? Do I need to register for events? Do I need to take an exam? Whatever it is, you map it out and then begin to work towards them. Now you've seen what you need to do. Now you need to now set the milestone. When do I need to achieve this? So when do I need to achieve it? If I'm going to do, like, for instance, a 6 months career plan, I'm going to share this later on with us. A 6-month career plan. Okay, this is my 6-month career plan. I want to get to this point. What do I need to do in the interim? Month 1, I'm going to do this. Month 2, I'm going to do this. Month 3, I'm going to do this. And then within those months, you begin to track. At the end of month 1, did I achieve this? Do I need to change something? Do I need to adjust something? Month 2, okay, what did I do here? It's very important for you to not try to just achieve, but also try to be honest with yourself. If something is looking like it's off track, maybe it's time for you to seek support. Ask a mentor. Ask somebody who has done it before. According to a very, 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 very wise man, according to the Bible, there is nothing new under the sun. That thing you want to do, somebody has done it. That thing you're trying so hard to do, somebody has done it. There's nothing new under the sun. So there's somebody who somewhere has done it. Even with all the peculiarities, somebody has done it. So seek support. Ask for a mentor to guide you. Tell them where you are and tell them where your struggles are. Tell them where you're stuck, and they will give you the advice on how they did it to get out of that particular situation. Finally, a recap. So because I just don't want us to exceed the time that we slotted for this event. Importance of being job ready. It's important for you to be ready for the job even before you start applying for the job. And we've talked about this extensively in the first slide. It's also important for you to network. You need to find out how to network with people, network in a way that helps you to grow. Then you need to also realize how to set and achieve career goals, because this will sort of set you on the course of where you are going to. And then there is also a need for you to have continuous learning and adaptation. Now I am done with my class. You can find me on any of these places. You can find me on Instagram at ngube_G. You can email me ngubestella@gmail.com. You can find me on X at ngube_G. And then you can also find me on YouTube. Did the class end? Is this still on? Okay, sorry. Sorry, I kind of dropped. I thought I dropped out. So you can find me on these different platforms. And at this point, if you have any questions, I would be happy to. Okay, thank you. I will be happy to answer any of your questions. So do you have any questions now? And I will just take them quickly. We are out of time, but yeah, we finished almost exactly on time. So do you have any questions for me? Okay, so Innocent asking, first speaker, I would like to drop your social media. Okay, yes. So I'm going to ask for her social media handle, and if she gives permission, I'm going to drop it on the group. Yeah. So do we have any questions? Any questions, please? my question. What is one piece of advice you would give to job seekers in today's competitive market? That's a very good question. Very good question. So one piece of advice I would give to job seekers in a very competitive market is to keep upskilling. Keep upskilling. See, every day, even in this tech industry that everybody wants to join, they are retrenching people. And the reason why they're retrenching people is because there are new technologies that pop out. Only the people who are current with all the new technologies are going to be relevant. If you want to stay relevant, you need to keep learning. You need to keep learning new skills. If you haven't already gotten the job, I would say keep learning skills, keep staying relevant in terms of the knowledge that you have, the skills that you've learned. That's how you're going to stay relevant as opposed to someone who is not upskilling. If you've gotten the job already, you need to still stay relevant by providing value. The only way you can provide value is if you learn. If you learn, and trust me, there's so many places where you can learn. There is Google, you can join Twitter Spaces, you can listen to people who are already in that industry. There are people who are in that industry who knows the changes that are happening. These are the things about networking. If you join like Twitter Spaces, sometimes I join Twitter Spaces, and I hear people talking about the different things that are happening within a certain industry. It sort of helps you to stay abreast with all the new informations. You don't need to have to read all the time about these things, but staying in a place where people are already informed, sort of helps you to stay abreast with the information that is happening within that industry. And that's the only way you can stay as competitive as possible. Another one I'm going to say, and this one, hear me out. This is my personal opinion, but hear me out. If, for instance, you are in an industry, I would suggest for you to brand yourself. How do you brand yourself, you may ask? Try to start dishing out information about what you know on social media. Create a brand for yourself. If you're a graphics designer, have an Instagram page where you show people how you do what you do. Of course, without, exposing company data, but show people what you do and how you do it. Start teaching people. That is how you're staying relevant. You're staying relevant in your field, because even if, for instance, let's say, for instance, worst case scenario, they fire everybody in your company. Maybe your company goes bankrupt. If, for instance, a company wants to rehire people, the chances that they're going to, if, for instance, they place you who already has a brand, you have maybe a number of people who now trust your knowledge on, say, social media. And then you have another set of people, another set of individuals who does not show themselves anywhere. Nobody knows what they are doing. They are not on social media. They don't post anything. If a brand or a company is trying to hire and they look through your socials, maybe your LinkedIn page or your Instagram page, the chances that they're going to hire somebody who already has people following him based off on the fact that he's offering value. So in their mind, they're like, if this person can offer value to maybe 100,000 people, maybe you have 100,000 following. I'm just saying. The chances that they're going to offer you a role, because you're already offering value to 100,000 people. There are 100,000 people that trust you enough to follow you. And they're saying, oh, this person's analytics show that this person really has engagements. There's a chance that they're going to call you and ask you to come and offer them the same value, as opposed to somebody who has blank page. So these are like two different worlds, two different scenarios. If you already have a job and you're in industry, staying relevant could also mean branding yourself. So start putting out information. What do you know? How can you communicate it to someone who does not understand that industry, or someone who is in the industry but is learning? Or how can you just simply communicate what you know and the information that you know? How can you offer value for it? Chances are that if you can show value and people are able to trust you by following you, then there is a chance that you're going to stay very relevant, as opposed to someone who isn't like putting themselves out there. But more importantly, the fact that you're going all the way out to find out about this industry and post these things online will keep you on your toes. It means that for you to stay relevant, obviously, content creation these days means that you need to stay abreast of information. You can't be giving people outdated information. So for you to be able to even stay up to date, it means that you also have some sort of researching, which means that you're also what? Learning and upskilling. That learning and upskilling is what is now giving you that relevance that you have on social media. That's what is now giving you sort of the value that you're pushing out, that you're offering to people. And these are like ways by which you are able to like stay very, very relevant in a very competitive market. I hope it answers your question, Ifeanyi. So I don't know if we have another question. Okay, so I think Damaris already shared her LinkedIn page. I think Damaris shared her LinkedIn. I will share it again in the group. So if we don't have any further questions, I want to say a very big thank you to everyone who joined the session. Thank you so much to our first speaker, Damaris, for that very exhaustive first session. And I learned a lot myself, a lot of things that I'm going to correct, especially in the way I order like my CV. And I want to also thank everyone who joined. Thank you everyone who also sent their CV. I'm sorry if we were not able to review your CVs today. We wanted to review the CVs of the first 5 persons. And like we mentioned, we got a lot of CVs. From my end, it's all shades of love. Remember, I will always like to end with this particular saying: remember where you're coming from, remember where you are, and remember where you're going to. Thank you, everyone, and good night. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ifeanyi. Thank you so much. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.